Swadika. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You are now watching Wani Thi Nida, an academic talk show that brings you interesting and current issues from NIDA. The show is produced by National Institute of Development Administration, or NIDA. I'm Assistant Professor Dr. Wasita Bunsathorn from the School of Human Resource Development. I'll be your host today. And the issue that we are going to discuss today is sustaining performance of Thai SMEs in the 21st century. Well, today I'm very excited to talk about these issues, and we have special two guests today to discuss with us about the SME issues. And today we have two special guests to come and talk with us today. The first person, Professor Dr. Piriya Phonpirun, Associate Dean of International College from NIDA.
สวัสดีครับ
And another person, Dr. Pirayut Jaran Sukmongkol. He's a faculty member from ICO as well. Well, today I want to ask you because we are going to have our national conference every year on the 1st of April. And today, I know that International College have many interesting issues. Today this time you come in the topic of sustaining performance of Thai SMEs in the 21st century. So I want to ask you, why did you think that SME is important, and why do you come up with this topic as a main theme?
Sure. Okay. First of all, thank you very much for welcoming us to the programs, and it's our honor to present our research issues in these sessions. As well, you know, SME is very important to driving the Thai economy. SME, there are about 2.8 million of SME in Thailand, which account more than 99.8% of total enterprise. So that means nearly mostly of the firm in Thailand is operating like SME. And SME also employ nearly about 80% of the labor employment. So that means in terms of economy driven, SME is very strong force to drive to the Thai economy. The things, and besides to driving Thai economy in terms of development, SME also play a very important role to reduce poverty, also creating the inequalities among the Thai societies through new innovations, creativity, and everything else. So the things will be, we know that SME is very important. The problems will be, we have been discussing about the constraints and opportunity of SME in the global market. The things will be, now we are moving to the 21st century. Actually, we now in the 21st century already. And we can see that there's lots of change in both local market and global markets. First of all, we can see that technology has been rapidly changed. You know, we are moving to the social media things. We're moving to Facebook. We are moving to Skype, etc. So that means now the ways that business doing a business is not as what they used to do in the past. They have to adapt themselves very, very fast, especially in the change of IT world. And of course, when we get change of IT world, the consumer demand also has been changed as well. Now, before the consumer needs some kind of product, it's more like maybe reliable, good price, and have a good standard. But now when consumer changing the demand, of course, beyond that requirement, consumers need something quicker, need something more modern, more designs, more creativities. So that means demand has been changed a lot. The problems will be how the small business be able to reach that issues, catch up issues. And the third one is now we are talking, we look about the macroeconomic news. There are so many changes and volatility of the global economy. And with the changing global economy, since more than about 37% of SMEs output is relied on exporting markets, that means changing global economy also is also affected to the SME performance well. So that means how SME will be able to adapt themselves with the changing economy, how they can be able to find a strategic space, or they're creating a new space in order to be able to survive in the changing or evolving global economy. Besides that, this is actually the challenges. But also, if you look at the obstacles of the Thai SME ourselves, we know that SME also face many constraints, like lack of financial resource, inability of doing market creations, lack of knowledgeable human capital, low innovative investment. So that means we then think the SME is very important. We have to let's say discuss and provide new research, also discuss about what will be the good strategies and what will be the policy options that the Thai SME should do. So the main research questions of our sessions will be, first we want to find what will be the determinants of SME performance in Thailand. The Thai government has been implement lots of policy to enhance competitiveness of SME since I always say Tom Yam Goong crisis or 1997 crisis. For about 10 years past, more than 10 years past, what's current performance of Thai SME? Do we get improve it, or do we are the same? So that means we have to test it in statistical testings to show that whether our performance has improved or not. And we also need to know what will be the key factor contributing to innovative investment among Thai SME. Since we know innovation is very important, and what will be determinations of SME to do or to conduct a new products or new innovative investment, and what will be determinants and what will be the obstacles or constraints doing that. And now, since Thailand is moving to the new agenda of digital economy, so that means the role of IT, the role of information technology is very important, and SME should of course use more IT to operate the business. The problems will be, again, same like the previous questions. What will be the constraints of IT implementations for SME in Thailand? And is it the same as other countries, or is it unique for Thailand as well? So that will be the key part of innovative investment for the SME. But the most important thing is SME is small firm, of course, small and medium enterprise firm. The ownership structure is different from the large company that have like ownerships, that have the governance system. The performance of the SME themselves mostly come from the owner of the firm. So that means it depends on how the skills, how the adaptabilities of the SME owners that can be able to change directions of SME. Well, SME, I think to myself, SME has pros and cons themselves. Of course, the good thing is, the bad things of SME is, of course, they're small, they're lack of financial resource, lack of innovations. But the good thing is they are very flexible. They are very quick and very flexible to move themselves to new market or to new product very quickly. So, but all other things depends on the strategic directions of the owner. So that means we're going to present one research papers discussing about that as well.
Can you tell me about this? There are 5 papers in your sessions. What are some of the papers that you can share with us today?
Well, we have 5 papers in our sessions. 2 papers come from myself and come from Dr. P. Yutz, the guys over here, and 3 papers from our experts in SME. So we try to draw a story linking from the first paper until the last paper.
Okay.
So,
wow, so
the
the
audience
linkage between each of them.
So the audience can see about the story and the linkage.
3 papers from outside.
Right.
Are they practitioners or they are academics?
They are academia both in Thailand, also from other countries as well, that writing paper together. Okay. So the first paper, as what I say, that the Thai government has been implementing about the regulations and the policy to enhance SME performance since 1997, financial crisis in Thailand. So we want to know that whether over the past 10 years, whether performance of SME has been improved or would it stay the same. So the first paper from Dr. Thayawat, who is Director of Center for Entrepreneurship, Innovation and SME Development in ASEAN region, or they call SISTA, which is the Center Study of SME in Khon Kaen University in Nong Khai campus. He wrote this paper with Professor Charles Harvey, who is the professor of economics at University of Wollongong, Australia. This paper studies about the performance of Thai exporting manufacturing SME by talk about evidence of industrial census data. So the overall, this paper used the industrial census data that covers for 2 rounds of the years. The first round is 1997 surveys, which cover about 22,000 observations.
Wow, that's a lot.
And the current round is 2007. So census will survey for every 10 years. The current round is 2007, which cover about 56,000 observations. The technique, I wouldn't go to details technique, but the idea is they try to estimate what we call the technical efficiencies. I mean, how firm is efficient, how SME is efficient, but using their resource to produce the output. This study found that over the past 10 years, well, in the year 1997, technical efficiency of SME is very low. And over the past 10 years until now, 2007 for the data, technical efficiency of SME is still the same. So that means for over the past 10 years that government has been trying to implement performance SME, etc. It doesn't show that it's successful. It doesn't show it's successful. So this paper we try to find, so what will contribute to higher efficiencies of the firm?
What do you mean by efficiency of the firm?
Well, efficiency of the firm in this case, they try to look at the SME resources, like financial resources, human capital, machines, and use that resources to produce output and generate the revenue. If you use the resource more efficient, you can be able to produce more output, of course. But we found the kind of the waste of using the resource over here. It can be, the waste can be explained in many cases, but in which they don't explain in this paper. But it's just to test whether efficient or not. The things will be, they found that the way that why SME is not efficient is because over the past 10 years, we are so relying on the cheap labors, intensive productions, and we did not have any innovative investment, or even we have just a little bit.
Okay.
So that means over the past 10 years, it doesn't really improve.
Okay, that's the first paper. Okay, so how about the second paper that you?
The second paper was written by Dr. Vila Patiasevi from Mahidol University International College, with Professor Vincent Duto from ESG Management School in Paris, in France. So the second paper is quite interesting. Is if we know that SME face the constraint in the global market, and now, as we say, the demand has been changing due to people need more creativity, more innovations in the global market. So then SME have to change their role. The way they can change their role is they have to change their organization structures. They have to change their value chain. That start from productions, process, and output. They have to change over their value chain. This paper called those value chain. They have to change from normal value chain to the things we call creative value chain. So this paper compare between SME in Thailand and SME in Canada, and use Canada as a benchmark or as a case study to see what Thailand's creative value chain needs to be developed. And even though they can adapt the needs to the customer, but the most of the adaptation is still minor. So that means that's still minor. Why? Because SME in Thailand still rely on old technology and old production process. So that means they cannot change much. So comparing to Canada, in which they look at customer base as their destinations, that means they have to serve customer. And they are still, SME in Thailand are still lack of understanding about intellectual property right.
Oh yeah.
Well, this is another long story. We can talk about hours about that. I mean, for example, they invented something new, but they do not put that into IPR cycles, like registrations to the legalizations.
A lot of issues in that.
Lots of issues in that as well.
Yeah.
And also, they have still find difficult to obtain source of funding, which is and financial access, which is going to be also the problems. And also, most importantly, is they are lacking of human capital. They are lacking of because creativity is adaptation. Everything come from people have good visions, who will be able to find the right space. So this is what we learned compared between Thai SME and candidate SME.
Well, we have many papers, but may I ask Dr. Priyut that you are doing a paper on cultural intelligence and export performance of small and medium enterprises in Thailand. Can you talk a little bit about your paper?
Okay. Cultural intelligence, in fact, I don't know if you know about this concept or not, but it is a new development in the concept of intercultural skill. Cultural intelligence has a short name, CQ. Okay. If you think about intelligence, you know that we have a lot of intelligence,
yes.
IQ, right? Cognitive intelligence,
EQ.
Emotional intelligence, emotions. CQ is a new concept. Okay. It's deal with how people adapt, okay, and blend effectively and seamlessly with people from other cultures.
I like that, the seamlessly.
Right. CQ, gonna talk it briefly. It consists of 4 aspects. Okay. The first aspect is cognitive CQ. Okay, it's about the knowledge that we have about foreign cultures. Okay, but the knowledge is not enough. Another type of CQ is called metacognitive CQ. It's how we regulate our thought process. The knowledge that we have about cultures can be a benefit. It can also be the obstacle and the threat as well. You know why?
Can you expand on that?
Knowledge about culture that we have can lead to stereotyping. Culture is a thing that is very dynamic. You cannot judge people just from appearance. Asians, we have Korean, we have Chinese, we have Thai, we have Mongolian, we have a lot of Asians. All of them are different. Metacognition is a ability of us to learn effectively, to abandon our own knowledge and to learn new knowledge about cultures. Okay, there is another aspect of CQ. The third aspect of CQ is called motivational CQ. It's like motivations. We are willing to socialize with other people. We like to socialize with foreigners, and we like to adapt ourselves to foreigners. The last aspect of CQ is called behavioral CQ. It is how we behave to mimic what other from other culture did. Like if we go to socialize with Chinese, we can act like a Chinese. If we go to Japan, we can act like a Japanese. Okay, we can adapt our behavior very well. So these 4 aspects is very important for us to learn effectively about foreign cultures, to adapt our behaviors and to blend effectively with people from other cultures.
And you look at this in the SME
Right.
context in Thailand.
Right.
How do you think you adapt that into the SME context?
Okay, this is a contribution that my research make because initially this research focused on outcome at the individual level. Like expatriate, when they went to work abroad, they can adjust themselves. When people work with foreigners, they can reduce conflicts. That is the area that research did in the past. So my research is considered among the first that link CQ to entrepreneurs' performance in the international market.
I think it's very interesting because, you know, like in the multinational corporations,
Right.
actually my studies when I was, when I did my dissertation also in about intercultural communication in multinational corporations.
Right.
But like I said, like you said that people are really expect to meet with people from different cultures.
Right.
But here in SMEs, I think the context make it different because,
Yes.
you know, like family business and things like that. So what are some of the results that you found with your study?
That is very interesting. If I look at the relationship between CQ in general and export performance of SME, there is no significant result.
Oh, wow.
It is positive, but not significant.
Okay.
But what I found in my research is that the effect, the benefit is mediated by the knowledge about international business that entrepreneur developed. Like CQ, in fact, is a skill to know about foreign culture in general. But people who have CQ, in my results, they can learn effectively about foreign international business very well. Like knowledge about foreign customer, knowledge about foreign market.
see.
There's a linkage between CQ at the individual levels and the knowledge about international business. And this knowledge about international business lead significantly to export performance.
Wow. And you have like 2 more, maybe you can kind of give us some brief details, some brief overview about the 2 papers.
Okay,
One
cool.
is yours, right?
Yeah, what is mine? Yeah. Because of time limit, so we have to wrap up really quickly. So we have 2 more papers. Well, the first paper, which is the first paper here, we talk about determinants of innovations investment for small SME as well, from Dr. Yot Amon Krivikai from the Rangsit University, who will present about the factor contributing to technical innovations and how the firm minimize the cost in productions. And the last paper is actually from myself as well. We talk about IT investment and what's constraint of IT investment. And mostly paper on IT investment is done in developed countries. And so this is my first paper done in developing countries by using Thailand as case studies. And we found that the most important that would be constraint of IT investment is the human capital.
That's very interesting. I see a lot of linkage between different papers. And I think that I heard that the ICO International College is open up like a new program, right? The entrepreneurship management, is that why you have this as your main theme for the sessions here?
Right.
Yeah. Well, can you tell me a little bit of that? If people are watching this show, and can you tell me why it's very important for them to come and attend your sessions here? What are the most interesting part of your session?
The world today, we have to understand that we live in a globalized world. We live in the dynamics world. A lot of unexpected things happens. Now today, we cannot just looking at some factor that affect our business, right? Before we can know that, okay, we have 4 factors that we need to consider. Okay, for example, legals, customer preference, cultures, government, whatever. But nowadays, it is not factors. It is factorials. You know what is factorials? It means 4 factorials, 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2. Everything is interconnected.
Wow.
We have to understand the globalized world, this world very well. Learnings, this is what we're going to provide to students who come to study with us.
I'm very stressed for SMEs now. But I think your session will be very beneficial for people who want to do SME in terms of academic. All the issues are very new and very interesting. How about for practitioners? Do you think why practitioners should come and listen to your session here?
Well, I think we have the wrong direction for quite some time about the policy development, and we found the failures of some policy. And the thing is, why we come with the wrong policy is because we are lack of academic research support. So that means at least professionals need to know about what will be, well, in terms of academic testings of how to improve your SME and what will be your challenge and what you need to do, what your strategies, or even policymakers will need to come to learn what will be the good strategies to develop SME. So that means we just hope that at least we will be a small part that contribute to the know-how to the right policy making.
I think it's very interesting, and I think that people who are in academics, I think you have a lot of good papers that are done by many both local and international academicians who wrote this paper, and it's very new. So you set out the trend for academic people, and of course from practitioner point of view, I think they will learn a lot from this as well. Okay, well, we learned a lot about SMEs today, and thank you so much, Professor Dr. Piriyat Phonpirun, the Associate Dean of ICO, and Dr. Pirayut Charan-Sukmongkol. I think a lot of people would love to attend your session. Thank you very much for joining us today, and thank all of you to watch us today as well. Hope to see you again next sessions of the Wani Tinida. Thank you very much.
จะเปลี่ยนชีวิตก็ต้องเรียนรู้ทุกสิ่งในโลกนั้นล้วนเป็นดังครูแค่พร้อมและยอมเปลี่ยนแปลงอย่าหยุดไขว่คว้าออกไปตามหาและพร้อมความคิดก่อนที่ชีวิตจะล่มจะหมดแรงจะมีแสงใดเล่าส่องสว่างเทียบเท่าปัญญาของเรา